Hello, I'm Errol at home. I prefer terracotta pots for both aesthetic and environmental reasons, but being porous, they dry out very quickly in the summer, and in the winter, the water held in the pot walls freezes, expands, and creates tiny fissures, eventually causing bits to crumble or flake off. You can see which side of this pot was sheltered under the eaves, and which side was exposed to the frost and started weathering. This damage can be avoided by either bringing your perennial plants indoors over winter, or emptying your annual pots in autumn, cleaning and drying them, and keeping them under shelter for the winter before filling them again in spring. This requires some time, energy, and organization, so I wanted to waterproof and therefore weatherproof my pots. I'm experimenting with impregnating the terracotta with beeswax. I bought some new small pots which were 11 centimeters across the top, 10 centimeters tall, and just over 6 centimeters at the base, which are the right size to sit on my windowsill. They varied in weight from 248 grams to 258 grams, with an average of 253 grams. I find it's easiest to use silicone bakeware for melting wax, as it peels off easily when it's cold. The wax and pots went into a cold oven which was turned on to 120 degrees Celsius. I wanted to be sure the pots were completely dry and hot before dipping them, but they lost less than half a gram of weight after drying and before dipping, so they were quite dry to begin with. Once the pots had cooled down, there was a ridge of congealed wax left on the base, so they went onto a wire rack and back into the oven to melt it away. The pots had gained an average of just over 14 grams each after being dipped, and it was time to test them. The pot was submerged in water for 24 hours, and after it was dried off, it had gained 1 gram of weight in water. I decided to dip them a second time, and this time leave them soaking in the wax in the oven, turning occasionally until the pot stopped giving off bubbles. After being dipped the second time, the pots had gained a total of 27 grams in weight on average. After soaking it overnight, I'd thought the pot hadn't gained any weight. It was only just now while editing I realized that it did go up 1 gram just as I was removing it from the scales. But there is still a clear difference shown when spritzing an undipped pot compared to a dipped pot. The water absorbs into the first one and beads and drips from the other. I'll be using these dipped pots from now on, and I'll do an update video in a few years when I see how they fare over winter. The weathered pot was also cleaned and dipped, and has been planted with a little tumbling tom tomato, which will eventually sprawl over the sides and disguise the weathering.